By the way, I love using Anchor to make our show because it's been super easy.
Super easy and free.
That part, because we do not have a budget to pay for anything. Remember when we recorded the first episode right onto the website and you were already able to figure out how to edit it?
Which was amazing because you know I suck at technology. It was
Yeah,
impressive.
you kind of do, but that's okay.
Hey.
Uh, it's fine. I still love you. But, and then I had to edit an episode for the first time, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to mess this all the way up. But it was actually pretty easy.
I love that we can both edit right on the website. That's been super helpful when we get thrown
For a loop in our,
schedule changes.
because that happens. Tangents in life, just like on the show.
Yeah, and I love that they distribute to Spotify, Apple, other podcasts like
Platforms,
Podcasters.
yeah.
I don't know all of them, but it's a bunch.
And we need that because if it were up to us, it would just be on the one platform, which would be Spotify. Uh, when do we start making our money?
We already have. There's no minimum listeners you have to start paid sponsorships like this one.
What? That's crazy. Um, so we'll be balling soon then, I think. Uh, since you
Hopefully.
said aside, oh yeah, hopefully, when
Hopefully.
we need to get some more sponsors, more listeners. But since you set it up, how can other people get their podcast started with Anchor?
You go to Anchor FM or download the Anchor app to get started. You can even record right on your phone. Um, Jen and I use Skype because we like to see each other, and then we upload. Super, super easy, and it makes it easy when we have guests from all across this great, I'd love to say land, but we've had international guests, so
Oh
from all
yeah,
across
the
this
whole Earth.
great world of ours. Shout out Cape Town.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And yeah, and it just rips the audio right from the video, so we don't even have to worry about that either.
Nope. Don't gotta worry about a thing.
Yeah, well, that sounds easier than getting chased by a killer in the woods. So I'd
Well, it
say,
is, especially since I can't run for shit. So go to anchor.fm or download the free Anchor app today to get started. And you can be having a podcast almost as good as this one.
oh yeah.
Um, First of all, I love this movie. It
Really?
holds up. Um, I love how you can watch it and it definitely is dated and somehow still doesn't feel dated.
It's not that dated. Like it doesn't the the town alone itself is already like a
Right.
it's an outdated town itself, so it could exist now,
Right, exactly.
being such a
That's
small
what I'm
town.
saying.
Yeah.
We are talking Misery, starring James Caan and Kathy Bates. Pretty much just them. There are some ancillary characters, but it is pretty much just the two of them.
Yep.
And it's based on the novel by Stephen King. And it is about a woman who is an author's number one fan. And she does some things to him. And we're going to get into it.
So many things.
Too many things. I would definitely call this more one of your better paced horror movies.
Definitely.
Definitely very much a mindfuck for the audience. You see our main character, Paul Sheldon, the author. He has just finished a new novel. He is doing his end of movie ritual. He then gets into a car. He gets into a Ford Mustang.
And once again, these people decide to drive.
First of all, I live on Long Island, and I'm going to be honest with you that my stepbrother a few years ago bought a Ford Mustang nearing the wintertime, and my father said to him, "Why are you buying a real car? We get snow. This is dumb." And my father was correct. The car had nothing but trouble. my brother couldn't maintain it on the roads. Fords, Mustangs, and snow do not
Don't mix.
The second I saw that car, I was like, gonna be an accident. Even if you didn't know the premise of the movie, the second you saw that amount of snow still on it's not like the road was clear and there was snow the road still had way too much snow on it. When she was like, oh, once the snow gets cleared off the road, I'm like, bitch, the snow never gets cleared off the road in this town, clearly.
Yeah, not in the wintertime, it's just there.
It's just there. And our titular character goes over, and he has a flashback to finishing the sale of his last book and pitching the idea for his new one, and then he is saved. And we think, oh, thank God.
Oh well, no, but you skip because you didn't say he gets, so he flashes back and then we see him go over the side.
I thought he flashed back after he went over the side.
Yeah, he went over the side and he flat, but we didn't mention that he got in an accident. So he gets in the accident.
Yeah, I thought the accident was. I just told you there was a Ford Mustang involved.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, just for storytelling purposes, so they get the picture. Yes, he flashes back because he's in the accident, and then someone comes and pulls him out of the car.
And we find out that Annie is a nurse. She's got a cute little house, and she tells the biggest lie I think I've ever heard in my entire life, and it was that the road to the hospital hadn't been plowed yet, and she couldn't bear risking getting him there. People, as a woman who lived literally across the street from the hospital for 15 years of her life, my road was often the first and one of the only ones plowed.
Right.
So much so that when I first started driving, one year I was getting ready to go somewhere, and my father goes, "Where are you going?" And I told him, and he goes, "You can't go there." I said, "Why not? The roads are plowed." And he goes, "No, our road,
not roads."
Our road and the highway." And I was like, "Oh, okay then." The hospital is always the road to get plowed first.
I would think so, especially in a storm, because it's so dangerous.
Always and forever. Always the first road to get plowed. The second is whatever road the fire department's on.
Yeah.
Whatever your emergency, if you are a person who's extremely scared of being trapped in a snowstorm, buy yourself property. Either the ambulance company is, the hospital, the fire department. Get on that roadway.
Because you'll be out of there.
That's plowed.
But she lied, but there's nothing he could have done about it anyways. But that was for our sake, because we don't know that she.
That's the first tip that you're like, oh, something ain't right with her. Yeah. You're like, that's not true.
Well, but you only know that if you know about snow and stuff, because like being from LA, when I first watched it, I was super young when I watched it, so we don't know that it's a lie. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not a snowbound person.
Yeah, you don't know that she's lying.
It's like, oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not set up as a lie. It's just she's like, oh, and you're like, oh, okay, that's fair. The roads are covered. She can't get him out of there.
Right. And she seems, for the most part, very nice.
Yeah, she's like one of those golly gee whiz people.
Yes, and those people always freak me the fuck out. And I don't know if they always did or it was after reading this book.
This.
I don't know if this is a chicken and the egg, which one came first.
But they're very close.
They're it's a 1-to-1. Because it's like when you're trying that hard to be wholesome, what are you hiding?
Yeah.
And I think we saw 19 Kids and Counting. That all went downhill real quick, so my point is proven, okay? Side hugs only. That's my point. But she seems very nice, and we're getting glimpses of him as just a nice fella. He's like, usually don't let people read my books. And just even the way he says things to her, but people who have saved my life are absolutely at the top of the list. Very things. We have a few more flashbacks to him, his writing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I thought this was a good way of letting us know how much time had gone by. His publisher calls, just the most earnest G. Willikers sheriff in all.
Oh, I love him. He also played Matthew in Anne of Green Gables, that old 1980s version. Loved him.
And, he's like, yeah, no, well, which one would you like? And she's like, well, whichever's not busy. And he's like, well, I'm both.
I'm both, and neither are busy.
What kind of town do you think you're calling here, madame? He's like, my deputy's also my wife. And then he's like, well, I'll tell you what, I will put it into our system. And I love that his system was just a Post-it on the wall. Because when she heard system in a small town that had one man doing every job, what kind of system went through her?
She was picturing a computer and he would type it in.
He wrote it down on a Post-it.
Yeah, no, it was a Post-it.
But then it was a slow day here in Mayberry. And since do we get the name of the town? I know they say the name of the lodge, but I don't know that they say the name of the town.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever do.
Yeah. It was a slow day here in Mayberry. So the cop does a little perusing, asking some questions. Now, here's my question. That guy who ran the inn had to have seen Paul Sheldon's car. And he didn't inquire him to stay one more day. Like, even just a throwaway line from that guy, like, I tried to tell him not to leave, the weather was going to be bad, I can't believe this happened, but he warned, would have made me feel a little bit better about the innkeeper.
What, he doesn't care. It's a grown man. He's like, he can make his own decisions. And plus, he comes there all the time, so you figure he probably thinks that he knows what he's doing.
But I would have at least warned somebody that a blizzard was coming.
Yeah.
I would assume people on vacation are not listening to the weather, honestly. Especially a recluse writer who's up there to just be typing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. He lets him go. And then the sheriff sees the broken branch, which was when his deputy was trying to seduce him in the car. And they don't say until that moment that she is his wife. So I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
On the boss. And then he's like, when you're in this car, you're my deputy.
You're my deputy.
Not my wife. She's like, well, your deputy would rather be in bed with the sheriff, right? Like,
I love them. They're so cute.
He goes down that hill and she's like, would you like some help? And he's like, no, I'm
good. Yeah, because he falls in the hole. Their sarcasm and the way they talk to each other is great. Do you want any help? No, I'm good. I'm having a great time.
I'm like, that's a couple that's going to stay together. He even says it to him. Your sarcasm is what keeps his marriage
That's the
alive.
spice. He says that's the spice that keeps his marriage going.
And then we go back to the house and we find out that Annie has been shockingly, or not so shockingly, stalking Mr. Paul Sheldon. And I got to give James Caan just great face acting ability. Because if I'm laying in bed, somebody has done rudimentary legwork on my legs and then tells me, oh no, it wasn't that I happened by you. I was stalking you for days at that hotel. Oh, what now?
Oh, I'm sorry. Say again.
And you wonder why usually actors, musicians, etc.
Yeah.
use fake names.
Yeah.
Don't tell
and
they're
the reason why he said, like you said, we didn't mention his legs are like destroyed in the accident. Not terribly, but like he's wheelchair bound. Like he can't even get out of his own bed by himself.
Yeah.
Like he's incapacitated to the highest degree at this point.
To be fair, though.
No, sorry, not the highest degree. That's coming.
That's coming. I was
not the highest degree yet.
I mean, he can't get out, so what else is he supposed to do?
Yeah,
But now he is aware that he is stuck in a home with a crazy person. And that is actually when she asks to read the novel, and he says yes. And you should not have done that.
Mm-mm.
If you know that you're stuck in a house with a crazy person who enjoys the phrases like OG Willikers, and
Anne
then,
has expressed her love for this character. Like,
well, no.
Hmm?
The book he gives her to read
uh-huh.
is not that same book.
Okay, this is where I was confused because
The book he gives her to read is his newest manuscript, post Misery's Child. Misery's Child hasn't come out yet. He just finished this.
yeah.
She reads that manuscript of the new book that has nothing to do with Misery and is befuddled by all the profanity. But this is a book about him growing up in the inner city as a street youth.
That must be in the book because they don't say any of that in the movie.
He says, these are street kids. I was a street kid. This is how we all talked. When she's like, all the cursing, Paul, with the soup.
Oh, okay.
She's not talking about Misery yet.
Got it.
Later, the next day she goes into town and the storekeeper had put away Misery's Child for her. She picks up her copy that she had pre-ordered.
Got it.
Like any #1 fan.
Yeah.
And then she starts reading that.
That's where I got confused because I couldn't tell because I was like, she picked up Misery's Child and then she read that and she was like happy. But
Right.
then she burns the manuscript she read, but then she tells him to rewrite Misery. So I'm like,
Yes, the manuscript that she reread was the one he was telling his publisher about that he
yeah.
had to kill Misery. That's why Misery dies at the end of Misery's Child.
Uh-huh.
And that he needs to be writing different stuff.
Okay. That's so weird. Like, I was so confused the way that they did that. All right, well, that makes it.
Yeah, it overlaps very quickly. So
Yeah.
if you can watch the movie a good 30 times like I have, I can absolutely see how you miss it, but that's what it is.
Okay.
That thing that she burns is not in the Misery timeline.
I didn't think so, but then she was like, burn this and then rewrite Misery. So I was like, okay, so did she read, like, I thought that manuscript was him killing Misery. And then I was like, so what is this book that she got from the bookstore? I was very confused. Okay.
Yeah, the book from the bookstore was the final in the Misery series.
Misery.
This was going to be like his new stuff. And then she makes him burn it because of all the cursing.
Gotcha.
There's too much bad stuff in the
I thought she wanted him to burn it because Misery died in it. So I thought she wanted him to undo that. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Right. That's why he has to come up with a reason why Misery got buried alive.
Yeah, I got that stuff. I just didn't understand how
people know Misery is dead now.
Yeah.
The book is out.
Yeah.
So she does not care for that.
No.
This woman apparently has nothing in life but these books. And she was like, it was a shock that my husband left me. I was like,
was it?
Well, actually, at the moment she says that, especially if you don't know about Snow and stuff, you're like, this is still just a nice lady. It looks like she keeps a nice home. She's made some lovely looking meals for Paul.
She's like one of those porcelain.
But we're also in a town like Mayberry, so you're going to assume her ex-husband is not Channing Tatum either. You know what I mean? You're going to make some allowances.
Yeah.
So at that moment, you're like, but then once she starts spilling soup over a couple F-bombs, you're like, oh.
How would you feel if I just started saying frickety frick? Oh, God, that scene was so good.
Yeah.
The way she goes, like, just goes off on him is.
It was good. She is very good.
Yeah.
So, Paul has some plans to try to save himself. First off, is he's done taking his pain meds, and he starts hiding those. And now he's able to get himself out of the bed. And that's as far as he got.
Yeah, I realized it was a bad plan.
Bad. because the door is locked. So, now she has decided, since he can sit up finally, get him into a wheelchair, which they never explain. I'm going to just assume that whatever hospital she was working at some point, she stole all this stuff from.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. She's
Yeah.
probably needed it for other stuff too. Weirdo.
Well, she got arrested at some point for doing some stuff, because you see that in the memory book, which I'm sorry, I don't know that I would keep clip-outs of myself.
Well, yeah. We'll
get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
He's got a lot of supplies.
Yeah.
And he tries getting out of bed. That doesn't work. And now she gives him an old-timey typewriter and loses her mind when he simply tells her,
oh, this is a great setup.
Smudges.
This is a great setup because she's very excited. She's like, oh, here, I got your favorite. Like, I know everything about you. She's very proud of herself. She's like, I got you the best paper. I got you whatever it was he needed, the typewriter, the paper, and everything. And he's like, okay. So then he says, okay, well, this paper is smudged, which good for him for knowing that, because he was able to show her that it's smudged.
Yeah.
But once he tells her that, like, she, once again, that switch flips, and she's like, oh, do you want me to get you anything else? Like, the way she loses it over, like you said, just asking for some different paper. I was like, oh, ma'am.
Well, we should probably assume that she feels very deeply that her husband left because she couldn't do anything right. So when she heard she couldn't get the right paper, blah, 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 that triggered.
Yeah.
Now, the whole reason he's telling her that is simply because he wants that best.
To get her out of the house. Yeah.
Beautiful. And he gets out a few times, sees some things, moves the piggy or the ducky.
Knocks the penguin off the table.
The penguin. It's the penguin.
Yeah. And then you think, oh, shit, it's going to break. And then she's definitely going to know that he was in the house. It doesn't. He catches it. He puts it back on the table. Cool. Then he finds the scrapbook.
Yep.
And this is where we find out that she was not just a nurse, but a naughty nurse.
Yeah. Nurse of death, if one will.
Yeah. Dragon Lady is what they call her.
That's her. And she is so anal retentive that she notices what part of the ducky is at sunset or sunrise.
Yeah, that he always faces southwest or northwest or whatever direction that
something.
is.
Yeah, it's like
for penguin. She's like, this penguin always faces that way, so I knew you were getting out. Oh.
Now, the cutest thing about her is her pig.
Oh, yeah, Misery, the pig.
Misery. And when Paul hears that, she's like, I told you I was your number one fan. And he's like, I'm beginning to believe it.
Yeah.
She is psycho.
Yeah.
So there is that. The pig was fucking adorable, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
if I had room for it, I'd get a pet pig. They're so cute.
Yeah, they're adorable. A lot of work. But the FBI, the CIA, the FBI has been called in. The state police have been called in. Helicopters are looking for this man. And now she has convinced him to rewrite Misery, and they're working on it together. And
he's down for playing the long game. Like,
he is jetting it.
And whenever he's figured her out, he's like, okay, I got her number, and he knows how to turn it on and be like, oh, okay, she's my fan, let me play into this.
Right.
And he's very good at switching that on.
He's like, since we brought Misery back to life,
let's
have a dinner, blah, 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 blah. And then he tries to drug her drink.
With the drugs that he's been saving up.
Yep.
He asked her to bring in some wine. First, he's like, oh, I finished the book, let's have a dinner, and she's just over the moon. Like, she's so... This, I loved the scene where she reads the manuscript, and she's like, I'm going to put on my Liberace records. And it's like, that is just such a good moment for Kathy Bates, because even though she's terrifying and you know that she's psycho, she's able to deliver that line in a way that's just hilarious. Like, it's so funny, and it brings, like I said, like a humor to a scene that wouldn't normally be funny.
Never before and never since has somebody been that excited about Liberace.
Oh, right. She's all in this romantic mood. She's like, I'm gonna go get Liberace. So yeah, so then Paul sets up this dinner, and he's schmoozing her. He's like, oh, and she's all like, she did her hair. She looked very cute with her hair done.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, good job. If she just wasn't wearing a frumpy dress, she'd be okay. She brings out the wine. He asked about candles.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, I think I have candles. She leaves. He puts the poison into the wine. She comes to sit down and knocks the glass over.
Yeah.
And you just see all the hope drain out of his face.
Yes. And we actually skipped ahead because at that point, he was still okay. It's the next day when he gets out to try again.
Yeah.
That she sees the little penguin.
Yeah, I was I was thinking that, but
now the worst scene ever, and the biggest change from novel comes in this scene. She comes in, reprimands him for leaving the room, finds his little key, and then she tells him a tale about diamond mine workers and hobbling. She goes on to hobble him. That's all we're going to say about that. And if you don't know what it is, go ahead and Google. In the book, however, she actually cuts and corduroys his feet.
Cuts and what?
Corduroys with a blowtorch.
Oh, cauterizes. Okay, yes.
So way more graphic, although I think movie-wise, that sound is what really gets you.
Yeah, yeah.
So much better voice.
Whew. My mom had to leave the room. My dad had to look away. Like that's one of the toughest scenes.
Walked in as that scene was about to happen. I'm like,
oh,
I wouldn't look.
No. There's no way to look at that. And then he just passes out from sheer just shock and pain.
I'm a woman who sometimes hurts her ankles stepping wrong. I'm at that age, everyone. It just happens. And the pain, just the physical, like your head triples, like just you're like, even me, I was like, oh
yeah.
And that's when you think things are gonna, like, okay, he's never getting out of here.
Yeah.
Then she decides, and she goes out on some more errands. She comes back and she's waving to him like, "Hi, darling." And
he flips her the bird.
And he goes, "Oh, what a kidder!" And I'm like, "No, ma'am. If you broke both my ankles, it would be a fuck you."
I'm not kidding. I definitely mean fuck you. Definitely mean it.
100%.
I love it. That scene, that's another good comedic scene that they throw in there, because the way he's like, he doesn't give a shit anymore. He's like, she's broken my ankles. I'm not even going to try to pretend like we're friends anymore. Like,
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yep. So that happens. And then she is moving him, and the sheriff comes to town, so she hides him in the basement.
Well, but why? So we got to go back because the sheriff sees her in town. This part, I was like, where did that was such a leap? Because the sheriff has no idea where to find him, the sheriff starts reading the misery books because he's like, I gotta.
Never really understand how they get here, so.
Yeah, okay. So there's not something I missed. Because he sees a random quote that for some reason he wrote down from the books, and then for some reason he remembers that she said it. I don't know. It was kind of a stretch.
Yeah. And
then he sees, because he saw her in town, and for some reason he thought, oh, he could be with her. I don't know. That part didn't make sense.
I guess unless he realized, unless it was a quote that she says so much, like,
yeah, I thought that.
Always walk around going, I think we're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Unless it's something that she says so much, but he never knew where it was from, and now that he knows where it's from, he's like, so a woman with a weird dragon lady past seems to know this author so well that she's quoting him constantly.
Yeah.
That if you're a police person,
It's a little sus.
That would raise a bunch of red flags.
A little sus.
Yeah.
So he drives down to her house, and she dumps his ass down. Not him, but Paul.
No backup. No backup. No nothing.
No, just by himself. And Paul gets dumped down the stairs without his wheelchair, just thrown. Surprised man's still alive.
At this point. How this man is walking at the end of this movie.
Right? This scene is also brilliant because she doesn't deny being a fan of his. Right. Not only does she admit to it, but she says, "Oh, I've been called to write more of the Misery book, so I went and bought paper." Like, she covers her tracks so well.
Right.
It's pretty interesting. I like that in a movie. Mm-hmm. Where she's a smart character. He was not so smart because he came in turning his back to doors, not keeping her in his eyesight. Yeah.
Once again, no backup.
Yeah. Nothing.
And now you get a shotgun through the chest.
Yeah, of course we're given that moment of hope where he opens the basement, here's Paul down there, and he's like, "We're going to get you help." All of a sudden, bam, just shotty through the chest. Yeah. It's so gruesome. It's way more gruesome than I remember, too.
What he should have done is the second he heard Paul down there, left,
yeah.
Then, no, I've been out here too long. I better get back to the station. Been a busy day. Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Hightailed it the fuck out.
Because obviously she wants him alive. She's his biggest fan, so...
Right. She's kept him alive this long. She's not killing him now.
Yeah.
Except that his plan, or we hear her plan, is to kill him now.
Yeah.
And...
she has slowly descended into even crazier, so...
Even crazier. But then he's like, "I have one more book in me, blah, 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 blah." Not book, or the ending, like, let's...
the Misery, yeah.
Way. And we have to die so Misery can have eternal life. If I finish this book, then she'll live on forever.
Once again, that long-term game, he turns that on real fast. He doesn't say, "Don't kill me." He's like, no, I agree. We should both die.
Yeah.
However. Let me finish the book.
Your beloved Misery lives on forever.
Yeah.
Which, I'm a reader, and I love books. I've never given a fuck about a character this much.
Not that much, no.
Kill it off, that's fine.
Yeah.
Was I sad in some books when characters die? Yeah, not enough to kid my father. So...
not made it through Game of Thrones.
No, she's not. She would not have made it through many of Stephen King's other novels.
Yeah. Grey's Anatomy, she would not make it in today's writing.
I was shocked Grey's Anatomy is still on.
Yeah.
Which is just like, how do they have any cast left?
It's true, but they keep bringing in new people, but they slowly integrate them, so you don't feel like it's all new people, because they still have the core people, so you feel like, oh yeah, they've been on it for a long, so they do very well of making you care about characters, because they introduce them slowly and then they become more main characters.
Gotcha. So and he asks for his final stuff,
which of course she knows.
And I gotta give it to him. He is one smart puppy. He knows if he burns that, she's gonna go for the manuscript.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how though that typewriter? Have you ever picked up one of those old timey typewriters?
No.
That's at least 100 pounds. I'm not even joking. That one was pure iron.
So actually, one thing that I noticed when I watched it, because there's a montage where he's writing the book.
Yeah. They
show a scene where he lifts the typewriter, and I'm like, that was weird, because I haven't seen it in years, so I've forgotten that's where.
He's practicing to get his strength up because of how heavy it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, that's cool. I like that they threw that in there, so you see that he's not just casually lifting this typewriter up, that he's been working on it.
Yeah. How that didn't just immediately knock her out, like,
right?
Oh, your head, Kathy Bates, I'm impressed.
You've got the strength of an ox in your head.
She's on fires.
Well, he doesn't do it without a little sweet revenge. He threatens her first with it because she made him burn his only manuscript. And so he's like, oh, are you ever going to find out if they get together or if this happens?
Right.
And then that's when he burns it, and then she jumps for it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Love it. And then they fight, and with a metal piggy paperweight,
yeah, ooh,
she finally. I love when he was shoving the manuscript down her throat.
Yeah. Oh, that was
all the page out.
Yeah. Well, first, and then he trips her, and she hits her head on the edge of the typewriter, and you think, all right, she's out. Now he can get out and escape. He crawls out of the room, and then, bam, she's back out. She's up and moving, and then they get to wrestling again, and that's when the
Michael Myers type.
Right? That's when the piggy trophy comes out.
Yeah.
Oh, she got killed by Misery.
Yep.
That's ironic. She was killed by Misery. I was wondering, like, while watching it, I was like, I wonder how it was to film this fight scene between them. I'm sure it was exhausting.
Yeah.
But when it, like, to have a fight like that between a man and a woman was
right.
Interesting to see. But it's not like these two, like in action movies where it's like the guy knows how to fight, she knows how to fight. This was two people wrestling for their lives.
Yeah.
So.
Very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Start to finish.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh, my mom, she was like, she had to look away when Kathy Bates hits the typewriter. And I didn't. And I was like, back in the day, it probably looked real, but I was like, no, and I rewound it. She's like, I didn't want to see it. I was like, no, Mom, look. And so she looked and she's like, oh, yeah, that was a dummy.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it looked very real, but on HD.
Yeah.
Even 72-inch TVs. What?
Even feet. The sound got me way more than the visual.
Yeah, the sound is definitely.
The mellowness of the ankle, you're like, oh.
Yeah, that's creepier than the actual visual of her.
So overall, very good fight scene.
Yeah.
And
again,
I love that they never went for any humor with the pig. The pig never comes in to try to save her. That would have been.
Oh God, that would have been stupid.
Yeah, I'm so glad they didn't do it. Because at one point, I think it's going to happen. You're like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
That pig's going to come save her.
Or you're going to have to kill the pig for some reason.
Misery wanted out too. She's like, Paul, can you take me with you?
Okay, can we get out of here?
Can we do this together? She's a crazy person.
I don't know if you've noticed. She's that shit.
I'm not sure if you're aware. So that's what happens.
And he is able to walk after with a cane, but still
18 months though, so long recovery period.
Yeah.
He rewrites the manuscript. That's the other thing that, like, Kathy, darling, he wrote the book. He can rewrite the book.
Yeah.
The book's inside him.
Yeah. As a writer, though, I was like, ugh, when she made him burn his other book, I was like, see, I would never not have other copies.
Now,
why would you do that?
On the flip side, very, very little profanity in Invite an Elephant to a Tea Party. So,
definitely.
So little, my kid's like, Mommy, this could use a curse word.
Just throw a B word in there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurt my heart. I was like, oh, sir, you can't just have it. I get it. You're superstitious.
Book the other day. He was like, where's my elephant book? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not leaving your elephant book out. You're not destroying the elephant book.
Aw.
No, it's signed. It's signed.
That's going to be worth something someday. Yeah, I was just like, sir, I get that you're superstitious, but you need to make copies. You can't just be carrying around one only physical copy.
Yeah.
And I love how she called his bluff on that. He was like, oh, my publicist has a copy, and so you're not actually destroying it. She was like, yeah, you said that, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
I was like, you're not going to call her bluff on this. She's got nothing to lose by making you do it.
Right. That was a heart-wrenching scene, though.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, this was the book he wanted to make. I feel like the other books, he says it,
Yeah, he's like, That was his moneymaker, his cash cow.
Yeah, they did not want this to be my life. But overall, I give this a 10 out of 10 heels.
Yeah, I'd say 10 out of 10. It's well done. Mostly smart characters. I wish, I might say 9 just because I wish the sheriff had been a little bit smarter about it.
I allow it though, because assume this poor man has never come up
I've never encountered this before, yeah.
Like, to be fair to him, he's in charge of making sure you don't take too many deer during hunting season.
Or my favorite phone call. I told you, Bob, if you're going to have benches in front of your store, people are going to sit on them.
This is a man for all his responsibility.
That was my favorite phone call.
I felt for the sheriff so much with that phone call. I was like, oh, if that doesn't encapsulate small town life.
His delivery on that is great. I rewound it actually because I wanted to hear it again. Because he was like, if you don't want people sitting on benches, don't put them in front of your store. And you could see stupid people calling about that kind of stuff.
Like,
and
he has said to him, I've told you this before.
Yeah.
Poor man.
This is not the first time this has happened.
I'm like, this poor man. Yeah. So, yeah, I allow that simply because of where they are.
Yeah,
if we had been in like a big city or something, even a larger town, I would have been like, okay, but this man has never.
Yeah.
I guess maybe, although, maybe do a little bit more research about the house you're going to.
Yeah.
Because, like, there were news articles, microfiche that.
Microfiche.
I know
that's what I was saying. Like, yeah, you know that's my favorite word.
I do.
That's what I was saying. Like, he knew exactly who to look for and where to go to find that quote. That's why that was so, like, specific.
Yeah.
Which, like you said, if it's something that she says, I wonder if that's on the cutting room floor where, like, they go into how he knows that a little bit more. Like, his connection.
The book, just because I do love it so much, and I think it's right here on my dresser somewhere.
I might read it. Maybe I'll read it.
Yeah, you should.
I've been trying to read it, but I think maybe I'll start with Misery. I've never read a Stephen King book.
It is not the one I would start with, my friend.
I know. My brother told me to read it, though. Maybe
I'll
start with Misery.
I would start with.
Yeah.
It is very.
It's a lot. I know. It's
a lot.
Yeah.
Because Pennywise's life spans so many decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they go through in great detail. In the movies, they allude to it, but like when there's the Dollinger killings, when there's the Black Spot fire, all those things, there's so much detail. It's a great read, but I would not introduce myself to Stephen King's style with that book.
Yeah.
A Misery, a Carrie, a Pet.
I think I'll start with Misery because I really did like the movie.
Yeah.
Do you do audiobooks or do you always just read?
I always read.
Oh, okay.
The reason being is because I tried once and first of all, I can read quicker than they can speak.
Oh yeah, totally. If I'm in a hurry, then I'll read it. I definitely want to read.
Also, just their I like reading in my own accent. Yeah.
Heard. I like audiobooks just because I can multitask.
A lot of
other things.
Audiobooks are read by the British.
That's because a lot of the audiobooks for some reason are written by British people. I don't know why. What was I gonna say? I'll decide. Sometimes I do audio. I feel like I might want to actually read Misery though on my Kindle or something. But I love holding the actual physical book.
Yeah.
Like that's what I would prefer.
Read on my Kindle. I like to.
Yeah. I like having a Kindle for like if I'm traveling because I don't always read the same. I don't always finish a book. Like I have multiple books going at one time. Like TV
that
shows.
I could never do.
I do that. So a Kindle is good for me because then I can read all different books, or if I'm traveling, I can have the different books. And I don't have the space for the physical books.
Right. Yeah. No. When I travel, I do Kindle just because of the just because of the space, no other
Mhm.
reason.
Mhm.
Speaking of TV shows, the Roku channel. I think I found this Sunday night, maybe. Yes, Sunday night when we were done recording. They have Murder, She Wrote.
Oh, that's awesome. I never watched that show, but I've been trying to go back and watch shows that I didn't watch as a kid.
Religiously every week.
That's awesome. I want to start the Love Boat.
The Love
Boat.
You want to go on the Love Boat? Like I said, when I get to Texas, Rancher needs a wife, and you're the first person I'm casting.
Let's go. Yeah, I was looking at this clip of all the guest stars that they had on the Love Boat, and I'm like, man, I really want to see. And I've seen like parts of episodes here and there on reruns, and I'm like, I should go back and just actually watch the show. It's on Paramount, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think. Yeah, so nine, I'll say 9.5 heels for Misery, the movie.
Yeah.
Because I do like, it's very well done. Like I said, I love that he plays the long game. Nothing irritates me more than a hostage that has that's captured by their admirer.
Right.
That doesn't know how to play the long game. I'm like, this person likes you. They didn't kidnap you because they hate you. You should be free to roam around their house. That's how much into the game you should be.
Yes, Paramount.
Okay.
10 seasons.
There is no reason for them to be cross with you when they kidnapped you because they like you.
Right. But, I mean, if you go ahead and start killing off their favorite, well, that's the thing, right? Like, you needed something like that book to be a trigger.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, it would have gone a completely different way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what was the other thing I was just going to say about it? Good writing, smart characters. Oh, I can't remember. It'll come back to me.
Cutest pig.
Cutest pig. I like, this wasn't it, but I like their discussion about the movies where the guy would go off the cliff and then when she yells at him about that whole thing. Yeah. And he uses like the wrong word, or she uses the wrong word and he corrects her and she's like, she gets pissed about it and then he tries to correct her again. He's like, oh, never mind. I meant whatever it was you said.
Yeah.
I remember when they used to do that kind of stuff. And you'd be like, you could never get away with that now.
No.
Like, you have to explain exactly how that person got out of that, if that's what you're going to do.
Oh, for sure. Oh, show.
Sorry, I'm still thinking. What was it? It's going to come to me after we stop recording.
Of course it is.
It was right there. I said 9.5 stars. Smart character. Yep, nope, can't remember. I did not like how it is heartbreaking how likable they make the sheriff.
Yeah.
Because he could have just been, just a sheriff guy that you don't care about, but the fact that they made him so sweet.
Yeah, and his wife was so cute too.
Yeah, like, they're adorable.
In fact, she's a widow now.
Yeah, it's like gut-wrenching.
She loved him.
Oh, so much. You could tell that they're going to be together forever. They were probably high school sweethearts.
Yeah. Well, and when she comes in and she's like, ooh, a phone call, busy morning. I'm like, wow.
I'm like, I want to hang out with her.
I'm like, the little office deputy is giving the only law enforcement in town a lot of sass. A little sass. I'd love to be a sassy small town law
deputy.
There was one of the Murder, She Wrote episodes, and Angela's in another town. Or no, Angela's in her own town, and she's like, Jessica, I know that we're relaxed around here in Cabot Cove, but there is still a protocol I must follow. And then I guess one of the other cops calls in, and she just turns around and totally forgets Jessica's still standing there.
Wow.
Give the other cop all the information. And so Jessica just goes to where she wanted to find out anyway. Like, Jessica, you're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, see, that's small town life.
Yeah.
Cop's just like, oh, Jessica's gonna do it anyway. I'm into like episode like 10 or 11, and like even the Cabot, even police in other towns are like, oh, I've heard of you. I will call upon you. And I'm like,
so is she an author? Is that why it's called Murder, She Wrote? She's an author?
So, yes, what happens is She writes a book. Her nephew finds it, gets it published for her. And in the first episode, she's invited out to this very swanky party by her publisher, and a murder occurs. And she solves the murder. And from then on, she's
the one to call.
She goes. It was so funny because I said with a couple of friends of mine in a group chat that I want her to come. I'm like, I need her to just be my grandmother. And they're like, but then wherever she pops up, a murder has just occurred. I'm like, we had 5 murders in town in the last week and a serial killer that still hasn't been caught. Please, Jessica, come to town.
Yeah. You need a Jessica.
I need a Jessica. That's clearly what I need.
Because your deputy ain't doing it.
Do it.
Your sheriff is busy with people sitting on benches in front of stores.
Exactly. Well, today was fun.
Yes.
And we don't know what we're doing next week because
no, we gotta get together and actually map out our schedule.
Yeah.
Which we will do, and then we will let you lovely people know. Sorry we skipped.
Next Monday, you're gonna be so hungover.
Oh, from the Super Bowl.
We're both going to be hungover because I'm going away for my 40th.
Yeah.
Busy weekend for the Horror and Heels ladies.
So we don't know when we'll see you again. Maybe we'll see you in March. No.
Yeah. I keep getting sick like this.
Yes. Glad you're feeling better.
Me too. Okay.
Oh.
Is there anything else? You guys know where to find us.
Yeah, all places. Oh, this week we are on. At this point, we're on Post Credit Podcast. Doing Stay Tuned.
I gotta tell you, their editing turnaround time is amazing.
Right, because I was like, it would be a few days before I had that.
Unless so Matt rogue and just threw that up unedited. Which
I don't see how he could.
Drew and I, you know what? We should see what the time was on it when he threw it up today.
We were on there for like 2 hours.
Oh, we were way over 2 hours. Should be right there. Should be right there in my next stop.
Annie Wilkes. Oh, it was funny. The day that I watched Misery, her name is Annie Wilkes. I watched another movie, and the character's name was Booth. And I was like,
oh, here it is.
Wilkes Booth.
Oh. He cut out a ton of shit because we're only at 1 hour and 33 minutes.
I figured.
Matt cut everything that Drew and I went off the rails on. Yes. And Drew and I really did. A lot of rails went off with Drew and I.
Yeah. I was like, well, this is going to be fun for them to edit.
Yeah. You can see just over there time stamping.
Yeah, he's like, well, boop, boop, boop. Keep track of that.
So when did you bait Alicia into a politics discussion?
Yeah, but so go check them out.
I agree, but don't agree, which I think is.
It's the Stay Tuned episode.
Yes.
It's Post Credit Podcast. I will share their
link.
Share the episode on our Instagram.
Yes, definitely, and we're gonna have those guys on ours soon. We just got to write a movie for them.
Yeah. I
was actually thinking maybe Anaconda with them.
Ooh, that could be fun.
Yeah, I feel like that would be fun with them.
That could be fun.
We had a lot of fun with the Sharknadoes. So.
Yeah. They like those movies.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well,
that is all.
That is all. So we will see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.